Smarterfan. Smarterfan. Yeah. Smarterfan.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another segment of Smarter Fan Podcast, where we delve into all aspects of sports. Now, I just want to talk a little bit about Major League Baseball. Now, this is the time of the year, June, is where things start to take shape, with the standings and, what's going on with the teams. And the way I was looking at it, the American League East is like it's like a dog race because every team in that division is playing 500 or better, and it's
Mm.
put it this way: the Red Sox are in last place. If they were in the American League Central, they'd be in first place. That's how bad that division is. And and my Yankees. Well, they're barely holding on to third place right now, and they can't seem to catch a break because they get Stanton back, and then Judge and Cortez go down. So now they're on the IL for we don't know how long, and that all stemmed from that play that Judge made in Dodger Stadium where he ran into the fence. Well, evidently he stubbed his toe, and now he's got a sprained big toe. So is that. Then you got
That's a big toe.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, the Central is like, that's up for grabs. Anybody could take that division. Now the West is interesting because the Rangers and Astros they're the two mega teams in that division. I mean, the Angels, they got the two best players, but they're like a distant third in that division. You know, and I can't see them catching Houston or the Rangers. So, and they got Trout and they got Otani, two of the best players in the league. And they really have nothing to show for it. And I think Otani is going to be gone next year anyway, because there's just nothing there for him. But I think he's going to stay on the West Coast, and the only team I could see having the money are either the Dodgers or the Padres. So
He's going to the Dodgers.
I could see it. I could definitely see that because he wants to stay on the West Coast. He's not coming east, no matter how much money the Mets throw at him.
That's a good point.
And in the American League West, I mean, the A's, to me, they seem like they're tanking. Because they got the worst record in the league. I mean, I think they won 18 games or something. Oh, no, actually, they won 14 games so far. And they're trying to sneak out of town too because they've been looking at property in Vegas. And,
Vegas is very attractive.
well, they kind of hit a snag because now it's in the politicians' hands because they want to build the stadium on the taxpayers' dollar out there. And the politicians are haggling over that right now. So that's in limbo.
They just need a better envelope. That's all.
Yeah, no. That's going to be interesting the way that plays out, because you got the A's fans now, they're protesting because they don't want them to leave, but they're not putting a good product on the field.
Well, Oakland is going through a total transformation tech-wise, and that's probably why the A's won't be there. It's just being swallowed up by Silicon Valley. And so it's a money play. So the fans can squawk all they want. It's the money.
It's always about the money.
Always is. Can't get around it. And there's Vegas, the wet, that part very attractive. You got the Raiders there. Don't be surprised if somehow a NBA team ends up in Las Vegas. They may move the
well,
Pelicans there. It's just the way it goes.
it's
It's the
going
way
to
it
be
goes, my friend.
interesting. The National League is basically the divisions. All three divisions are basically two-team races between the first and second place teams because everybody is just kind of falling by the wayside right now, you know. And that's just that's usually the way it goes in the National League. Anyway, nobody's going to catch the Braves. It's going to be a dogfight between the Dodgers and possibly the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
And well, the Diamondbacks are leading that division now. Anyway, the Giants, you can never count the Giants out though.
Nope.
So you know, but that's basically the status of the league right now. But what I wanted to talk about was June 6th, which was just past Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
and it marked the 79th anniversary of D-Day, and it was also
Mm-hmm.
Yogi Berra Day at Yankee Stadium.
Wow. Wow, that's huge. That's
Yeah,
huge. That's
and
huge.
he was born Lawrence Peter Berra in St. Louis, and he grew up with another major leaguer, Joe Garagiola, who went
Oh,
on to play.
wow.
Yeah, he went on to play for the Cardinals, and uh, also who lived on their block was a young announcer for the Cards by the name of Jack Buck.
Wow.
So, they call that
That's
neighborhood Hall of Fame Alley almost.
yeah, that's 90 years of baseball right there.
I'm telling you, and he got his nickname from a friend of his named Jack McGuire who saw a newsreel about India and said that he resembled a yogi from India.
Oh, that's funny.
And that's how
That's
Yogi
funny.
got his name.
That's funny.
you know. So, but it's interesting because Yogi signed with the Yankees in '43,
Mm.
but then he went into the Navy. So he
Mm.
kind of put his career on hold, and he was a gunner's mate in the Navy, and he was also involved in the invasion of Normandy,
Wow.
and he actually got a Purple Heart for that.
Wow. That guy lived a long time.
Yeah, yes, he
Yogi
did.
Berra lived a long time, like
He,
to
he
almost 100.
yes, yes, he did. You know, and it's interesting because Branch Rickey at the time was
Mm.
in the Cardinals organization, and he was the one who signed Garagiola over Berra because what he was trying to be slick. He downplayed Berra's talent because he knew he was going to the Dodgers. So what he was going to do when he got to the Dodgers is he was going to try and sign Berra and make him a Dodger. But the Yankees signed him first. So,
Mm.
so then
Good
Yogi's
history there.
yeah, Yogi's Yankee debut was September 22nd of 1946.
Mm.
And Bill Dickey was his mentor, and he said he learned a lot from him. And when all was said and done, wound up with he was an 18-time All-Star. He won 3 American League MVPs, and he
Mm.
led the Yanks to 14 pennants and 10 World Series, with 5
Jeez.
in a row.
Jeez.
And he also, in '98, they started the Yogi Berra Museum and Learning Center that was in Montclair, New Jersey. That's where it is on the campus of Montclair State University. And David Cohn was one of his awards from that museum, the Teammate Award. And we all know about Cohn's feat on Yogi Berra Day in 1999, where he pitched a perfect game against the then Montreal Expos. And
Mm.
Don Larson and Yogi Berra were in attendance at that game.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, yeah. So that's what made it even
Wow.
more special, And that was 14 years in the making, simply because in '85, Steinbrenner fired Berra during the '85 season, and so Berra vowed he would never set foot in the stadium again. You
Mm.
know, and then 14 years later, one of the radio announcers for the Yankees, Susan Waldman, she got Steinbrenner and Berra together, and they buried the hatchet. And then that's how that Yogi Berra Day came about, and Cone pitches the perfect game, and all is great. You know, so
Wow, great story.
but sadly and strangely, Berra died on September 22nd, 2015, exactly 69 years to the day of his Yankee debut.
Mm.
So, and to this to this day, or to the day he died, he swore that Jackie Robinson was out at the plate. So, that was always a sore spot with him. You know, and he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Obama, which his family accepted on his behalf. You know, so it was very touching that he went out that way. And he was 90 years old. So, but anyway,
Amazing. Amazing. Boy, you had a lot on your plate today. You got some more? Some peas, some carrots, some steak. What's going on here? Mashed potatoes?
well,
What
now
you
you
got?
you tell me what's going on with your Jimmy Butler and his boys.
Well, Jimmy and the boys tied it up. They tied it up.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
tell you, I tell you, the Miami Heat, that win, that win was huge because it really made a statement that I don't know if the Nuggets can overcome psychologically.
Mm. Well, they lost the home court advantage, right?
I don't. The thing about Miami, it really doesn't matter.
Mm.
It probably matters more to the Nuggets than the Heat. The
Well, that's
Heat
what I
would,
mean.
yeah. Well, I, you know, that's what makes the Heat so dangerous. They will go and beat you on your court and
Yeah,
put the pressure on you, and that's why I love Jimmy Butler. I mean, I mean, man, I mean, they're gonna be hard to. They're gonna be hard. They have a real chance to. They pull this off, and they make some smart moves. They got a chance to go for a run and maybe repeat or three-peat. They
well,
really, they really got a chance.
what I find interesting is that they're basically doing this without a super team, you know, which
In the
I find
traditional sense.
which
Yeah.
I find refreshing. That they're doing it on grit and good coaching, and they got one good player sprinkled around a lot of good supporting cast, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that they can go far with that, because they got the right coach.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the old adage that great coaching with players that bought in, you can win championships. It's getting players to play. I mean, in my opinion, even though he joined super teams, but LeBron being the type of player he is actually makes other players better, right? That's
Yeah,
really his secret sauce. Like he's great, but he
mhm,
actually makes other people play above their pay grade, and that's really to
yeah,
me what makes him great. And such a difficulty because then all of a sudden they're playing great, and then you got to, oh my goodness, he can come down and flush it on you or make a great play because he's a
oh
great
yeah,
player, right?
yeah, oh
So
yeah. I'll
now you
give
got
him
all
that.
these guys playing out of their heads, and you know it's hard to deal with. So that leads me on to my next point, which
Hmm.
is so many people have been hitting me up. What's going on with Scottie Pippen? What's wrong with him? And I had to actually honestly take a step back and kind of figure out what's going on with Scottie. Is it a midlife crisis? Is it self sabotage? Is it as strange as this may sound, it may be a way of keeping them and the Bulls relevant because the game is moving beyond them.
No doubt.
You
But let
know,
me
it's
ask you this. Do you
uh
think it has something to do with Jordan's son dating his wife, his ex-wife?
that's such a hot mess. I don't even want to go over there.
Yes, it
You
is a
know,
hot mess.
I think the real shameful thing about it is, yeah, that's pretty accurate. The shameful thing about it is that like they got kids that are like grown
Yeah,
adults, and it's kind of like a very very bad look. You know what I mean? And it's
yeah.
just really kind of embarrassing. I mean, it gets into a lot of things. It's kind of like, really, if you went back to your maiden name and your name wasn't Pippin, people wouldn't even be paying attention. And it's kind of like,
Mm,
it gets into a thing of it's like same thing with Jason Kidd's wife. Like she started acting bizarre, in the organization. It's kind of like the only reason you're here is because your husband is Jason Kidd. You are,
well,
yes, you're attractive, but that's about where it ends. And it's
but
just amazing to me how some of these folks just kind of lose it and they actually think it's about them and not their husband,
yeah.
or
Well, you
vice
you you
versa.
know what got Jason Kidd to the Nets, right?
What's that? You always got a backstory.
I
What?
can't I can't
What?
remember I can't remember the name of the other player, but when he was on Phoenix, him and this other player were fighting over Tony Braxton,
Oh, that's right. That's
and
right. That's
that's
right.
what got that's what got Marbury out of New York and to Phoenix, and that's how Kidd came to the Nets because they had to
Wow.
get him the hell out of Phoenix.
I guess Tony put that thing on him. So the other thing the other day was I saw such a great interview on the Pivot with Chris Paul, who's one
Hmm.
of my favorite basketball players.
Hmm.
And one of the things that kind of got revealed that I didn't know is that he used to play football in high school. And it was just a
Oh,
great, great story about him playing his father's role in his life, his grandfather's role in his life, and their family, and how he looks at the game, and just his competitive nature. Because he's really one of those players, either you love him or you hate him.
hmm,
But it was just a great, great interview with him on the Pivot. And I have a close friend who's very, very, very close to Chris Paul.
uh-huh.
And I always love, he's just like a throwback to me when it comes to players, Chris Paul. And then, I got to talk about my coach Sanders. He had a
Hmm.
special episode. He's getting them boys in shape in Colorado, getting their minds right for the opportunity. And guess who showed up
Oh,
for support? Andre Rison, his
Andre
boy.
Bad Moon Rising.
Yeah, his boy from their days back in Atlanta, as they were Falcons together and very close, became like
Hmm.
brothers. And then, you know, Dion moved on and they had bad blood between them and had the infamous fight when Dion was playing for the 49ers and Andre was playing for the Falcons. And it
Mm,
was it was really nice to see them guys hug and talk and support each other and just, because they were very, very close. They were very much
right.
like brothers. And it was just wonderful to see those two supporting each other and back together and just seeing the love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And last but not least, I had a very interesting conversation today about the LSU Tigers NILs. And I had to bring up, I'm very excited about the NILs and athletes getting compensated, but the
Hmm.
biggest piece of pie is still not being divvied up amongst the players. And the person was like, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, before the NIL, the issue on the table was players should be compensated for the amount of revenue that they're pulling in." And I feel like there's kind of 124th Street three-card money game being played on the athletes, where it's
Mm.
like, yeah, the NIL, that's cool, but you still need to be paying NCAA revenue sharing with all of the athletes,
Mm.
and they should be getting a piece of that action, as well. Because I have friends who are trustees at major Division I universities, and the money is obscene that is made, and the athletes should be getting paid. I mean, imagine how the Louisville Cardinals are eating off the accolades of Lamar Jackson, or Texas. I think Mahomes went to Texas A&M,
Mm.
and how they're, or the Red Raiders, and how they're living off the success of Patrick Mahomes.
Oh yeah.
Right? So they're making a lot of money. It's helping them recruit better players. Even Coach Mulkey said, "My recruiting days have pretty much ended." She will probably not have to recruit as hard, as long as they keep winning, for the next 4 or 5 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? Which means more money for the university, which means more booster money, more parking lot money, more concessions money, more TV money, and all of those athletes should be sharing in that revenue stream. So that's always a big, big, big issue for me, that the athletes should be getting everything they possibly can get. And the person was saying, they were kind of like, well, why should they get so much? And I said, because the university will always make money, no matter what the revenue share is, because it's just the way the athlete doesn't play forever in college. They get 4 or 5 years of athletic eligibility. No matter how great or whatever happens in their career, they only get 4 or 5 years. The university operates in perpetuity. So they get to relive the highlights, relive the glory days, relive what that athlete did at their institution as a marketing tool. And
Hmm.
and I don't have an issue with that. I just feel the athlete should be compensated for, you know, you using my image. I have met
Yeah.
that person may have never become a great, or a great professional, um, or they may have, but you're still able to leverage their accomplishments at your university to recruit better athletes,
Hmm.
which make you more money, right?
And sadly, Jim Thorpe was vilified for getting paid.
Yeah, and that's all kind of a smokescreen,
Mm.
because there's this illusion that was created of the pure student athlete. There's no such thing
Hmm.
as a pure student athlete. You're making money. Everybody, the president of the university is making money every time he has a winning, or winning team. Like the University of Michigan, nobody knows who the president of the University of Michigan is, but he's been making a ton of money. They know
Yeah.
who Jim Harbaugh is. They know who the football team is, and they're
Uh
making
huh.
a run at a national championship. And they've been winning the past 4 or 5 years. You know how much money the University of Michigan has been making off of that?
Oh, I can imagine. I can
Come
just
on,
imagine.
come on.
You
And
know.
I don't belabor the university for making money. Just share some of it with the athletes. Every athlete at that level, at least, should be at least walking away with $100,000 after graduation and 3+ years of academic eligibility, paid for, because they
Mm.
earned it.
Yeah.
Anyone who doesn't think collegiate sports is not a full-time sport has never been to or participated in a Division I, two, or three practice. I invite people who don't really understand, go to a practice, try to walk through one practice, and come back and tell me what you think.
Mm.
Because most people could not even survive one practice.
Mm.
That's just the
Yeah.
reality. And
That's
think about, you
yeah.
got to study and sleep and eat. It's a full time job.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
full time job. And so, you know, Scotty's Scotty. I had to talk about Scotty. I love Scotty Pippen. Um, I just don't think he's leveraging his star power effectively. But
No,
you know,
I think he's having a meltdown.
that's what it looks like. You know, that's what it looks like. Unfortunately, I mean, you know, it's so funny as I hear people talk, and it's just like, yeah, I mean, Jordan didn't win until you got there. Facts. Was losing six. Didn't do. Was doing great stats. Was not. Was a one-on-one player and continued to be a one-on-one player until Phil was able to get him to buy in to trusting his teammates. And Scotty shows up, and the triangle defense shows up, and a lot of pieces show up, and the rest is history. But you know, you can't tell me Jordan's a terrible person when the guy's basically got a bullseye on his back, and every player is coming with their A game every night, coming for his neck every night, and he's still outplaying them.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Because Jordan that's why he's the GOAT, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think there's enough room on Goat Hill for more than one goat.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always torn with these GOAT conversations because it's like it's a team game. You know, they're obviously superstars of the game, but saying somebody's the best of all time, what's your criteria? Because I had somebody come, say, and I'll save that for the next show.
Yep.
Because Smarter Fan Podcast always has more for the fans. And we'll see you next week. Joe, it's been great. Glad you're back in the saddle, and we're out. See you next week.
All righty.
Smarterfan.